All right, all right. We'll get started here in a minute. For those um, joining us today, my name is Josh. Welcome to the Decisions Daily Lunch and Learn. I am here to answer some questions, whether they're about life, whether they're about decisions, whether they're about how to Google something. I'm happy to help in all regards. So we'll get started here in a minute. If you have questions, feel free to ask them away in the chat in the question and answer spot. Yeah, we'll get started in a minute. Thanks. Okay, looks like we'll just go ahead and get started. Elizabeth, sounds like you have an answer or a question that you asked. Hopefully I have an answer. Your question is there any way to use the down arrow to move down the rows of a report? Is that correct, Emily? Or Elizabeth, sorry. I'll allow you to talk.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking to do. Was hoping to, I have like a form tile with a PDF viewer that you guys helped me put together not too long ago. But I want to be able, on the left side, I have the report, on the right side, I have the viewer.
Mhm.
So it's kind of going through each line of the report, which is basically a folder that contains the documents that the viewer is, reading from. And I, instead of like, I mean, we're probably going to end up having like, it could be like 1,000 rows of data.
Yeah.
And to review, and we're basically kind of seeing what the data says versus what the letter or the PDF says, and making sure that those two match the data that has been OCR from the letter.
Mhm.
And so we want to be able to get the user to just kind of hit the down arrow on like as they're reviewing, and when they find like an error, they can of course edit that data. But really, I'm looking for the down arrow thing.
Okay. Currently there's no way to like kind of reorder something inside of a report viewer. Especially if it's coming straight from the database. Like the database determines the order, like the database SQL query determines the order in which
I don't want
we
to
get
change the
in a
order.
report.
I just want to hit a down arrow to go to the next row of data.
Okay, I think that's simple enough.
Okay.
I didn't know if you were looking for something already. It doesn't, I don't think that exists in the product today. Um, but let me write that down and get that into a feature request for the product. I mean, that sounds very reasonable. I think everyone wants to find ways that we can better like use our keyboard to work instead of our mouse to
Right.
do certain things. So yeah, no, I think that's completely reasonable. So yeah, let me get that into a feature request. Currently in the product today, unfortunately, that isn't a thing. But yeah, we
Okay,
can
if
absolutely get that
that
in.
is not a thing, um, which seems like would love to kind of understand what the follow-up is on product request or feature request, sorry. With things like that, just because that's pretty tedious to like click through line by line that way. So
No, I agree. Yeah,
the
I
other
agree. Feature requests to go through like a process to the product management team. So
thing,
essentially, like, I mean, we get like dozens of feature requests a day to get
Sure.
like have things added. So we kind of have to like run that all through the product management team, who decides like, okay, we want to do this. Okay, we don't want to do this. And your feature request can basically get like accepted or like rejected. Typically for things like this, whether it's like making our reports act more like Excel, right?
Hmm.
Those things typically get accepted, right? Like we had another one, I think a couple weeks ago that was like, I want to be able to click on one column and have it expand all the columns to kind of fit the content inside of them, kind of like you click on the top row of an Excel document, right? Um,
Sure.
so there are always like certain features we tend to say yes to more often, and that's kind of one of them. It's like the let's make this report work more like Excel um, feature requests we typically take on. So,
Got it.
but again, I can take a look at it and figure out if there's some kind of workaround in the time being. We have tabs on forms where if you hit a tab, then it goes to the next like
Right.
field of a form, and maybe something like that exists that I'm just not aware of. So
Right. Okay. Um, okay, that works. Thanks so
yeah,
much.
yeah, no problem. So I'll get your email from Sabrina and follow up with that for you.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, I don't think we have any other participants.
Can I ask one more question then?
Please, yeah, please.
All right. So what about this scenario? Have you ever seen in decisions the ability to have a viewer? So we've got the report on,
Hmm.
one side, the viewer on the other side. You can multi-select rows of the report. And essentially, if I multi-selected all of those rows, um, could I create I guess could I, based on what I selected, could I get it to populate the viewer with only the documents of the selected rows? So if I selected row 1 and 3 and 5, I only want to see the documents for 1, 3, and 5 in the PDF viewer. Does that make sense? Row 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think currently with the way like our forms and dashboards work
Mhm.
is it's only one for one, right? Whatever
Okay.
you click on one side. So what we do in the back end is whatever you click, we take the ID of that object and populate it
Mhm.
into we call it the selection bus, right, on forms. It's actually just put into the URL, and then your flow will run off that ID in the URL and generate that PDF. I think you've probably built that already, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys
Uh,
helped me build that, which was
yeah.
great. Um,
So anything else that's like a multi-select, we
mhm.
typically don't have the option to like display it on a page component, like three or four of them, right?
Mhm.
It's just not how like our pages work today. I mean, of course, that's another feature request we can put in, right? What a lot of people do is they make a multi-select action. So you can click on like two or three inside of the report and just right click and say show all documents or something like that. And then we could make like a group action basically takes all the selected rows that you've selected and it
Mhm.
runs the action off of that list of uh of data instead of that single point of data. So
I
there's
see
ways that we can work
that.
around stuff like that.
Is there a way that I could see that like in a simple project? Just I don't think I don't know a ton about group actions, and that was going to be my next question is like, okay, well, how does group actions interplay into this? And it sounds like it could do it that way. But I've just never really seen a group action being built, I guess.
Yeah. Let me build one for you really quick. This is our like test environment, so it's going to look a lot different.
Sure.
But let's make okay, let's make a simple like entity or something like that just for the sake of this. So I'll make T.
If I guess I can't. I thought you could. No, I was gonna say I could send you the little project that you guys sent to me. It's like super simple. It has all the little entities set up, but
Yeah, I can take that and design it, come back with you and design it if you want. I don't have an environment that works too well to be able to show off this kind of stuff, unfortunately. Um, so I'm kind of working off this. This is like we test on this for like new UX features and stuff, so sometimes we break it.
oh, okay.
So yeah. So okay, we'll do this. Show active data. Okay, so I just made like a simple entity here, and add my entity. So I'll just make entity 1, and then let's just go ahead and make entity 2. Okay, now let me create a report of this data. Okay, so I have string 1 and I have string 2. I'll go ahead and save this, and then we'll go ahead and make some actions. So if you go into the configuration folder, there's user actions right here, and there's a create group user action.
Mhm.
I'm just going to call it show or send pop-ups. I'm just going to have it send a pop-up for each row, just as a simple example. But essentially what you're going to see is like in the data explorer, you're going to see both like a string of my entities or a list of my entities that I can then kind of loop through. So if I'm just going to do this like very like simple example, I'm just going to do a for each step and then a pop-up. And subject, I'm going to pick, actually, all my entities. So it's going to loop through this. This one, I'm going to pick item, and just I'll pick the entity name. And for the message, I'll just pick string 1 or just string, I guess. Cool. And I'm just going to loop through. So it basically just gives me the way to just make an action on multiple is the kind of way I'm going
So
about
instead of
this.
the pop-up, we would be I guess I'm a little bit.
So yeah, so I'll go ahead and just run the like report here. And so we have like the send pop-up. If I
Mhm,
do like multiple of them, so if I click both, I'm still
mhm,
going to have that send pop-up 2 out of 2, and it's going to send me a pop-up for each record in
mhm.
that. And so that's just to show you that like you can have these group actions on multiple entities,
Right.
right? And so what you can do if you really want to show the PDF for these 3, you can make like a data repeater or something of showing those 3 forms or showing those 3 kind of PDFs inside of like a data repeater list or something like that that can show all 3 of them that you selected, you know?
You would just be showing the list. You wouldn't be combining the PDFs into the PDF viewer at that point.
No, not combining the PDFs. You would be showing like a list of PDFs, a list
Yeah,
of like documents in a document viewer.
that doesn't, that's still like, you're just showing a list, which is, I gotta click
You're
on each
are you
one.
you're trying to combine them into one?
I'm trying to see them all in the PDF viewer, right? So yeah, what I want to do is, because I'm auditing what's on the letter versus
Hmm.
what I'm looking at in the data, in the report. And the report, every letter is a line in the report. Every single letter is one line, one row of data.
Hmm.
So I don't want to have to like click on a, show, like I want to be able to just say like reading left to right, all right, what's on the row of data, what's on the letter. Yeah, that matches. What's on the row of data, what's on the letter, like, and keep going through my each row of data and looking at the viewer, right? So I want to see the letter. I don't want to just see like the list.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I was saying, right? You're just gonna like look through the PDF and have the data on one side if you can make this like correct, right? I
Mhm.
can mock something up for you. If you don't mind like sending it over here, I'll put my email in the chat and you can send over your example
Yeah,
for
Jared
me to
sent
look
me a
at.
project. I'll show you, or I'll send it.
Yeah, send it over. I can mock something up to you about this group action, and
Cool.
send it to you. But yeah, the process is simple. This was just group actions, just showing that you can have a list of that entity inside
Mhm.
of that action. So you can do whatever you want after that.
Got it.
So
Got it. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Have any other questions, Elizabeth?
I don't, I don't know if I have your email. I guess you're gonna throw it in the chat.
I just put it in there, I think. Oh, I sent it to the wrong person. There you go.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. Happy to help there. I'll mock something up, probably give it to you tomorrow, explaining what I'll do.
Sounds good.
Cool. If you have anything else, feel free to chime in. We'll probably just end it early since I think you're the only one here. So
That's it. I'll send it over to you shortly. Thank you.
all right, sounds good. Okay, we'll end it there, and then we'll go about. I'll follow up with your questions. Okay. All right. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody else. See you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.